Before I start this video, I need to say that I am humbled for two reasons. One, there are 100,000 people subscribed to this channel now, and I honestly never expected that would happen. That is mind-blowing. And two, I've realised that I am now too old to sit on my bed for any length of time without my back being supported, so I had to go and get a chair. Welcome to middle age. It's been a while since I filmed a Q&A video, and to celebrate hitting 100,000 subscribers, I've been taking your questions and I thought I would answer some of them today. And it's pretty dreary outside, and I could do with a day off working on the chicken coop. So here we are. I've got a list of questions on my phone, and we're starting with the big stuff. I was very well aware of what the top two questions were going to be, and I was not disappointed. So the first one is, when are you getting a dog, Jude? You promised us a dog. And I've been thinking about the dog for a while and I haven't decided yet. I'm going back and forth about it. I would really like a German Shepherd. They are not small dogs, and I live in quite a small house at the moment. And also, I want to get a fairly young dog for an assortment of reasons. One of which is I live next to a field of cows, and I need to be able to train and socialize the dog so that it doesn't worry the cows. And that's something that's going to take quite a lot of time and energy. And I've got quite a lot of things on at the moment. You have seen how long it's taken me to build the chicken coop, and that's just looking after Sven, and he pretty much looks after himself, to be honest. So, for my own sanity, I might wait until I've made a decent chunk of progress with the renovation and have a little bit more time on my hands, because I am only one person. What's happening with the renovation? Do you have a timeline for it? Okay, so if you're new here, you might not know that I am planning a full-scale renovation on my cottage. I bought it as a renovation project and it needs a lot of work. It's not just knock a couple of walls down and put a new kitchen in. It is completely gut it and take it back to the stone and start again. I've been working with an architect since the beginning of the year, and the plans are finalised. The planning permission that the previous owners had has been updated for the new plans, and I'm currently waiting on a building warrant. I think building warrants are a bit like building regulations in England and possibly like building control in the States, but I don't really know, I might be wrong. In Scotland, in order to start a project, you have to have your plans signed off by the building warrants team, and they look for things like the amount of insulation that you have to have in a property and the amount of headroom you have to have above a staircase, all things to make sure that the building is safe and put together in a way that meets current building standards. So I'm waiting to get approval for that, and then I think I might be able to get started. I'm not sure how long it's going to take to get the building warrant. I did get a request to pay for it the other day, so I'm hopeful. But as far as timelines go, I need to work out exactly how much of the project I am planning on undertaking myself, which is going to be more than I thought, because I don't think I'm going to be able to afford to pay someone to do as much of the work as I'd initially planned on. And then I can start getting some quotes from building companies. And it's going to be very unlikely that anything happens this year, but I'm really hoping that early next year will be the start of my renovation era, and I don't think I'm ready for it, but I'm hoping that I will have a few more skills at the beginning of 2026 than I had at the beginning of 2025, so hopefully I'll be a little bit more prepared. The renovation is coming, but the time frame is a little bit out of my hands at the moment. Will you share your renovation plans, and are you going to decorate the cottage to look modern or rustic? I am planning a full walkthrough tour of all of the things I want to do to the cottage. I just need to work out a way of making it more visually interesting. Otherwise, it will just be a video of me walking from room to room saying things like, imagine there's a kitchen here, and imagine there's a bathroom there. And that's not going to be super interesting to watch, but I am really excited about everything that I've got planned. I think it's going to look amazing when it's finished. I just need to work out exactly how I'm going to share it, but I will share it. My goal is to keep as much of the countryside rustic charm of the cottage as I can, because that's what I fell in love with when I first saw it. I am going to have to do some work to the exterior because the barn isn't structurally sound, so that's probably going to need to be demolished and replaced, which isn't what I was hoping for, but it is what it is. My plan for the inside is to make it as cozy as possible, and I want to use as many secondhand and reclaimed materials as I can in the renovation, partly because it's an old house and I think it would be sympathetic to it, but also because I love old junk and the idea of poking around loads of reclamation yards is really appealing to me. How did you learn your skills? Are you self-taught? Did your dad teach you? So my dad gets a lot of unearned posthumous credit for teaching me DIY skills, and he was many things, but he was not a teacher or a DIYer. He had quite a lot of tools. I'm not really sure where they came from, but aside from a bit of painting and decorating around their house, he didn't really do much DIY. He did make a key rack at one point that both my mum and I were suitably impressed by, but that is about as far as his DIY skills went. I'm sure it's obvious to anyone with actual skills and training, but I am almost entirely self-taught. I watch the occasional YouTube video when I'm trying to learn a new technique or figure out how a new tool works. I bought nail guns to build the chicken coop, and I'd never used nail guns before. And I spent about 20 minutes trying to find a video of someone using my exact nail gun so I could work out how to put nails into it. And none of the videos had that because they all assumed that anyone knows how to do that already. So sometimes it's a challenge, but I usually figure it out in the end. It is amazing what you can learn with trial and error and just picking stuff up and having a go. What have you learned about yourself over the last year? Probably that I am capable of more things than I ever imagined I could be. It is amazing what you can get done when you don't have anyone to call and there is no other option. Do you get lonely or are you content in your own company? I thrive in my own company. I need a lot of time to recharge from social interactions. I don't think loneliness is necessarily a location specific thing. I don't feel lonely because I live rurally. I don't need to be around people, but I do feel alone in the world sometimes. It's a weird sort of loneliness that you get when you don't have any family. But usually the winter is my lonely period. Christmas is a difficult one. You're always wearing earbuds. What are you listening to? Audiobooks and podcasts, almost constantly. Usually crime novels, sometimes romance novels. My all-time favourite comfort read, which is a book called Like Real People Do by E.L. Massey, got its audiobook version a couple of weeks ago, so I've been listening to that. If you like Heartstopper, you'll probably like Real People Do. It is a joyous comfort read. I love it. Podcast-wise, I dip in and out of a few different ones. The true crime genre completely passed me by. I like my crime to be fictional and have an ending. An old favourite of mine is Wooden Overcoats. It's fictional, it has incredibly high production values, and it's very funny. I also really like Sherlock & Co. because I'm a huge Sherlock Holmes nerd, and I like homesteading podcasts as well because I love learning stuff, and my favourite is a really small one based in the UK called the Homesteading UK podcast. I started listening to that just after my parents died, and it kind of reminds me of listening to my dad talk to his friends, and I absolutely love it. Is this your forever home? Possibly. I hate moving and I have no desire to do it again, but there are a couple of reasons that I might move from the cottage. Firstly, if I decide that I miss being close to the sea. This is the furthest I've been from the coast in about a decade, and I do really, really like being near the sea. Secondly, if I decide that I want more land. At the moment, I'm happy with the amount of outside space that I have, and it's lovely to be surrounded by farmland. But at some point, I might want acreage, which is something that I did want when I moved here, and it was something I compromised on. And thirdly, if I met someone and for whatever reason this wasn't the right place to live, I would consider moving, but not to a city. How rural are you? Is there anywhere within walking distance? How big is the village? There isn't a village. There is a community hall and a primary school that has less than 30 pupils. We don't have a shop, we don't have a pub, we don't have a church. It's pretty rural. It depends what you consider walking distance. I can walk to a few of my neighbours' houses, I can walk to the post box, and I can walk to the community hall in about half an hour if I cut across the countryside. Everywhere else, I need to get in the car. What do you do for a living? Is YouTube your job now? YouTube is my job now, which is absolutely wild and not something that I ever imagined would happen. I moved here with no job and no plan and a set amount of savings that I was trying to make last as long as possible. So I am really grateful that I get to call YouTube my job. I definitely wouldn't be able to put out nearly as many videos if I had to work a job alongside YouTube. So I will be doing this for as long as I can. I'm really enjoying it so far. And on that note, here's a quick ad from Surfshark. On the whole, the internet is pretty useful, and living alone, I spend far too much time on it. But keeping your information private and secure isn't always easy, and that's where virtual private networks, or VPNs, come in useful. Surfshark creates user-friendly privacy solutions that help safeguard your data online. Their VPN allows you to virtually travel the world and browse privately, encrypting your internet activity, blocking harmful malware, ads, and those really annoying cookie consent pop-ups. My browsing history is about as exciting as you'd imagine, but I do a lot of my shopping and almost all of my banking online, and your financial data travels across the internet with every transaction. Surfshark encrypts your internet connection, helping keep your banking and payment data safe from potential interceptors, even on unsecured public Wi-Fi networks. One account covers all the devices in your household, from laptops and phones to smart devices like TVs and security cameras. With Surfshark's VPN, you can protect your entire home network and secure any smart device connected to your Wi-Fi. Surfshark also offer antivirus for powerful device protection that secures everything from your webcam to your files, for 24/7 security that you can set and forget. Secure your privacy with Surfshark. Go to surfshark.com/Jude or use code Jude at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. What are your neighbours like? Can you call on them for help? My neighbours are excellent. I'm really, really lucky. It's always a bit of a risk when you move somewhere on your own, especially to an area where you don't know anyone. But my neighbours are great. A couple of them invited me around for dinner to celebrate when they heard about my award nomination. So that's the sort of people that I am surrounded by, and I love it. I am really bad at asking for help though, but they are definitely the sort of people that would help me if I needed anything, which is excellent. And it's really nice to have people that I can trade stuff with, like give jam to and accept honey and fruit and things in exchange. I love it here. What advice would you give yourself at the start of your homesteading journey? I am still pretty early on in my homesteading journey, but the best advice I received I got from listening to a couple of podcasts, and that is to start where you are, and you don't necessarily need to be somewhere with land or acreage, and you can start small, whether that's growing some herbs in a pot on a windowsill, or making your own bread, or growing some plants on a balcony, or buying fruit reduced in the supermarket and making jam. A lot of homesteading is about skills, and you can do quite a lot of things in a small space. Do you have a significant other? I do not, but I did take quite a nice picture of myself while I was up a ladder picking fruit the other day and thought I could use this for my future dating profile. And then the ladder fell over and I crashed to the ground in slow motion. And that feels like an omen for my dating prospects. Is there anything you don't like about rural life? Not really. I get frustrated with the amount of insects that find their way into my house, and sometimes at the end of a very long day, it would be really nice to be able to order a takeaway. But apart from that, I love it. Will you keep bees, sheep, goats, or other livestock? Quite a lot of my neighbours keep bees and have expressed quite a lot of interest in getting me into beekeeping, and I can definitely see that happening at some point. I've got space for a couple of hives on the property, but I'm trying really hard not to overwhelm myself by taking too much on all at once because I am just one person and there's quite a lot of work that needs doing around the place. So this year, chickens and the vegetable garden. Next year, probably just the renovation. And then after the renovation, a dog and possibly a couple of ducks. I quite like the idea of ducks, but that's probably going to be it on the animal front, I think. I think it might look like I have more space here on camera than I actually do. I could possibly have space for a couple of small goats, but there isn't really that much room if I wanted to keep them away from the vegetables. And also, from everything I've heard about goats, they are escape artists, and I am surrounded by arable farmland. So I would spend my life chasing them around the countryside, trying to stop them eating the farmer's crops before the farmer found them. And that sounds like way too much stress for me to deal with. What's your next project? I am very excited at the prospect of getting the chicken coop finished. And when that's done, I think I'm going to spend a few weeks doing some smaller instant gratification projects. I've got a huge pile of reclaimed materials that I want to turn into things. And I quite like the idea of challenging myself to make a few things with those and spending as little amount of money as I can, because the chicken coop has eaten up quite a lot of my DIY project budget. But after that, this autumn, I really want to do a makeover of my living room because it's going to be a while before I get to the inside of the cottage renovations. And it's a room that I don't really like spending that much time in. It's quite dark, it's quite dreary, there's a lot of orange pine, and I will probably end up spending quite a lot of time in there this winter. So I'd like it to be a little bit cozier. So that is the next big project on the horizon. I'll do it in a similar way to the makeovers I did in my bedroom and my office. Minimal budget, painting, working with stuff I've already got, and just making it a little bit nicer for the next 18 months or so. Did you make the blankets in your house, and do you still knit or crochet? So if you didn't know, before I moved to the cottage, I spent the best part of a decade running a yarn company, and as part of that, I did quite a lot of knitting and crochet. Half of the blankets in my house were made by me, and the other half were made by my mum. The one on my bed was a housewarming present when I moved into my last house, even though it took her a solid 2 years after I'd moved in to actually finish it. I haven't really done any knitting or crochet in a while. I fell out of love with it before my parents got sick, and I had to force myself to keep going because it was intrinsically tied into how I made my living. And nothing sucks the joy out of something faster than forcing yourself to do it so you can keep your bills paid. So it's been a while since I've made anything, and I can't really see the joy for it coming back. I've still got quite a lot of knitting and crafting supplies that I am probably going to rehome because At the moment, my house is quite small and I'm quite tight on storage space, so I need to go through some of those supplies at some point and redistribute them. But we'll see. Maybe the joy will come back. Maybe it won't. It's fine. I have plenty of other ways of occupying my time. When will you find out about the Be Creator Award? If you haven't heard me talk about this before, I have been shortlisted for a Rising Star Award at the UK's biggest content creation awards, and I am as baffled about it as I'm sure you are. It is like the best newcomer award, and it's very exciting. It is currently open to the public vote, and if you haven't voted for me and you would like to, I will leave a link to it in the description box. And voting is open, I think, until the end of August, and I won't find out if I've won until the awards ceremony in October. But it does mean I get to go to a fancy awards ceremony in London, and I'm going to need to buy a new suit, and it's something that I never expected that I would be doing when I made my very first video sitting on the steps to the cottage wondering what on earth I was doing with my life. So I'm really excited about it, and I will tell you as soon as I know. Is there anything you can't do? Aside from all the obvious things, anything that requires any amount of spatial awareness, I cannot park my car. It's embarrassing. What do you do when you're not filming? I would love to say that I have a really exciting double life that I don't share with you, but that is not the case. I get a lot of comments from people asking for longer videos or for multiple videos a week, but it takes me the best part of a week to film most of my videos. And when I'm not filming, I'm editing, which is quite a time-consuming process. And apart from that, I do quite a lot of reading, and I bought a bike recently and I'm getting really into cycling while the weather's been quite nice. So I've been going around the countryside, forcing myself up hills, and I feel like it's doing me some good, and I'm really enjoying it. What are you most proud of? Specific project-wise, probably the shelves that I built in the eaves in my office, because I've never done anything like that and they are really useful, and I sit at that desk to edit all of my videos now, so I'm really happy with how that turned out. More generally, of not giving up, even though giving up often feels like the easier option. Thank you for the excellent questions. I've done a video answering a few more of them over on my Patreon. And thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and commented on them over the last few months. I never expected that 100,000 people would be interested in what I'm up to. So I am really grateful that you choose to spend a bit of your Sundays with me. Thanks for watching. See you next weekend.